You know what's scary too is notice, look at all these gaps. I mean, we've talked about gaps on the leveraged ETFs, but look at this gap right here. This is basically telling you I will be back to $70, $80 down the road. I mean, it's telegraphing. I'll leave that on the chart, but I'm telling you, dollars to donuts, market has to come back and fill in that hole. The coin, this course now I think is probably the proxy in the US for Bitcoin. I think, guys like Fink and stuff like that have basically told the politicians, look at this, this is going to be the vehicle that we're going to use. Everything else, make it illegal for US citizens. And, to by default, anybody living in China has to follow along what the higher ups, the Rothschilds and all that are telling them to do. So I get the impression actually that looks like it broke out like that, eh? So something along those lines, which means that actually this paints a very realistic target. So the target should be a move from the head back to the neckline and then project that off the neckline breakout. So there's your price objective. It's nice and easy right in there. So what's that? $200. And that would make sense, right? A nice big fat round number. Also, too, you can see where the significant battle point was here. Look left. This is probably corresponds with Bitcoin's, this pivot high here. What's the date of that? That is 28th of March, almost exactly 1 year ago. What a coincidence. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. All right. So this was, 28th of March. So that is that high. So if they go and try and, take it up into that Bitcoin level, I don't see any reason why this coin wouldn't go up into there as well. With a grand total of about $15 to be made here, by buying at this level, would I suggest maybe jumping in on the long side there? I don't think so. It's not my style. You all know that. Short-term support, maybe if you wanted to join the party, we'll look for some sort of pullback into moving average support here. There's a horizontal support and resistance. There's also a little bit of a gap there, but I think that this trade's over. If you missed it, you missed it. And probably we're going to get 2.618 off of this range. Probably I was also up in that area as well. Yep, there it is. So interesting how we are actually hitting that 2.618 now as we speak. So you can't come into this trade now. And I mean, look at that move. Holy for holy. You know what's scary too is notice, look at all these gaps. I mean, we've talked about gaps on the leveraged ETFs, but look at this gap right here. This is basically telling you I will be back to $70, $80 down the road. I mean, that's telegraphing. I'll leave that on the chart, but I'm telling you, dollars to donuts, market has to come back and fill in that hole. That's probably following the halving event. Mara, hats off to anybody who got in on this inverted head and shoulders. We also had just an absolutely incredible bull call spread that all the spread traders pointed out. Did Brian do anything on this trade? No. What a doofus. I just let it slip through my fingers. I'm not quite sure where the fuck I was over the past 3 or 4 months. Hats off to all the community members. I know guys like David, I think Zach even strapped on this trade. A lot of our TRI SOF crew, guys in the lounge. Nick, I think he does a lot of this. Huge winning trade here. Congratulations to all of you. Really, really nice trade and absolutely textbook. You can see the reload zone. You can see the inverted head and shoulders. The spreads were really attractive. Nice price action right down here at the bottom end of the range. Beautiful W's. Maybe even an inverted head and shoulders there with a cockeyed neckline. But just absolutely textbook. So congratulations, everybody. What should be happening right now is I should be talking about ringing the register and taking profits and buying a Liam with a house with all the fucking money I just made. Because this was so textbook and this is everything that I teach you guys. Can you buy that there right now? I don't think so. I think you're asking for trouble coming in on the long side there. Everybody should be, ringing the register, paying yourself, hookers and blower on you and all that kind of fun talk. Riot, another one. Interesting how Riot wasn't able to outperform the way Mara did. So Riot, not really. I mean, I certainly wouldn't call that a head and shoulders. It's kind of chopping its way, if anything. So I don't see an inverted head and shoulders here. I'd like to, but I don't. In fact, actually, that's a new low there, isn't it? So guess what I would probably say. First sort of objective. Look how high this thing was. Probably 38.2s would be sort of a natural level for this thing to retrace to. So yeah, there's 38.2 right into there. That was that November. Well, actually, that was the next year. There was the. Isn't that interesting? So this appears to be the same peak as that Bitcoin and the coin and stuff. So that I think is your near-term objective on this little guy. So he had a much harder time bottoming. Nonetheless, it looks to me like this thing is trying to bottom. So it shouldn't surprise us. I don't know whether I actually see a head and shoulders here. Yeah, this shoulder is much, much lower than that shoulder, so that's a little suspect. Guess what I'd probably say is if you're looking for upside objectives, are there any fog and bombs? The fact that we went to new lows here also too means there's something wrong with this stock. And unfortunately, didn't that Barstool guy, wasn't he all fucking crazy apeshit bullish about this thing? Right up at the top like idiots. Interesting how if we do Foggenbaum just going from this previous high back to that low, because that's a new low. I don't know whether that's legit or not, but interesting how 2.618 is up into that level. I might even just do something like there to there and then there to there. Whether that works or not. Anyway, 4669s, that is that area. And if we can clear through here, interesting how we had to come all the way right back down to basically the original base. And now we're starting to work our way back up. We're right at 4669s again here. Interesting too how there was a price gap right there. So I get the impression there are a lot of people who got burned by this thing. And, you can see these were, if we look at it like a weekly chart, these would all be the trap bulls. And that gap right there, obviously huge selling volume probably there. So I could probably put like gap reference there. And then I also see another one right here. So that still needs filling in. And I also see another one right here. So tons and tons of selling pressure. Look at all these gaps. I mean, they're everywhere the whole way down here. So it does make sense that this thing, you're going to run into a lot of resistance into there. So I guess that shouldn't surprise us. When we first took a run up into the gaps, we ran into a lot of selling pressure, had to knock it back down. I suppose, and interesting how this gap here and this gap here are not filled in. I suppose if there is going to be any sort of further push higher, it's probably going to be into these levels here. Can you be a buyer of something like that there? No, there's no way in hell I could touch that. So you just got to leave it alone. I suppose we could probably even just off of this bottom here do fog and bombs. So we are at 4669s right now. 2618 didn't really get respected too much. Interesting how it was support there. So I get the impression this thing's running into some traffic here as we speak. I don't really foresee a lot of upside with this guy. And because that did trade to a new low there, interestingly enough, we could probably do like a trend line off of that new low bottom. But, what this does imply, because that is a new low, is that at some point we're going to have to go down and test that low. So if we just do a really simple trend line off of whatever the lowest low is here, let's see, that is 518 and this low is 516. That means, and I wonder what the lowest low is here. Let's see, looks like it was that day there, eh? So what's that? That is 3.25. So there to there, and then we'll go there, and then we will go there. So there's your trend. Let's see what's happened. So we threatened to lose the trend, then they recaptured it. My hunch is this trend line's probably, like, I wouldn't even be surprised if this thing sort of bobs and weaves, and then we see that actually the breakdown comes something like that. Or actually might even be better, would be sort of bob and weave, break, and then if we actually get an M below that trend line, then you actually have your actual outright sell signal. Notice that we never did get an M below the trend line here. So you might find if this is just like this, you might find that we actually do something like that. Recapture the trend line and head higher. So I'd be watching for a scenario, something along those lines. I'll keep that on the screen, and we'll circle back in a week or two and see what that looks like.